Welcome to the Dreams of Consciousness podcast. If you'd be so kind, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hey everyone, this is Kamble from Verum. The band is from Canada. We just make some noise and music, and I play the guitar in the band. And we're a three-piece band: drummer, guitar, and vocals. Yeah.
And how would you describe the music of Verum?
Well, I would say it started off as super death metal, and because we grew up on very old school stuff. But at this point, it's mostly like we just like to express whatever we feel. So it's mostly experimental, and wherever the song kind of takes us. So that's, yeah, long story short, that's like the way I would describe it. Yeah.
Would you say that your sound is still very much rooted in death metal, even though you've expanded to other areas?
Yes, yeah, I would say yes, it's very much rooted in that, but I would say it's looking like it's leaning towards, because for this particular EP, when I wrote the songs, I was very much inspired by a lot of good like stoner bands, like from the stoner rock genre, because of the way they create like this trance and like a hypnotic kind of ambient. So I think it's like it's a bit of both, but yeah, it kind of like complements each other in some sense, where like the one keeps the other grounded, kind of thing. Yeah.
And I should mention that you also play in ischemic, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah, yeah. I play the drums in ischemic. Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about the history of Verum and how the project came together?
Yeah, sure. Well, it goes like way back than 2014, which is where it kind of came to fruition. But me and my vocalist, we were like best friends, and when we were teenagers, and we always like listened to metal together and wanted to form a band. So that's where we met. He was obviously more inclined towards vocal ever since then, and I was more towards the instrumentation. So we used to always like screw around with like composing and like just taking fun and just like trying new stuff, like if this would work and what would not work. Obviously using like metal, but eventually we moved to North America. He moved to the States, I moved to Canada, and we were like, let's put out something. That's when we put like our first EP out, which was basically he sent me all the tracks online, and then we somehow figured it out. We just wanted to put something because the creative juices were flowing, so we're like, let's do it. And then fortunately for me, he ended up moving to Canada, so now we do everything from here. So yeah, and then 2015 is when we started like kind of putting our foot out there in the underground scene in Canada, where we use like a drum machine to play a lot of shows. But fortunately, we were still well received, and we kind of like built our fan base from there, at least locally. So, and now it was about time when, as soon as we found drummer to get this EP going with like the full band and showcase that. So yeah, now I think this is the perfect time when it's come to like everything is like lined up. So yeah, that's the whole kind of history of the band, I would say. Yeah.
Now, on that first EP and your first album, Deranged, were you playing the drums or were you using programmed drums?
Oh no, I was using programmed drums for sure. But yeah, my whole goal was to make it sound like as real as possible. So, but it was programmed drums, Superior Drummer, the usual like metal standard drumming software to go to, I guess. But I spent a lot of time, and ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be a drummer. So I had all this like drum licks and ideas and grooves. So they all came into like existence in that Deranged album. And the drummer we are playing with currently is we were like his fan ever since we met him way back in like when we just started to play shows. We met him with his other band, and we always wanted him to be our drummer. So I kind of like try to emulate his drumming when I programmed it, and his feel and accenting. So I had some sort of roadmap. So, but yeah, in short, yeah, it was programmed. Yeah.
But on those early EPs, you were playing all the instrumentation, right? Guitar and bass?
Yes, yeah, everything, yeah. And yeah, the vocals was, just the vocals, and the lyrics were handled by Lyndon, who's my best friend. So yeah.
Lyndon Quadros, I should mention, is your vocalist.
Yes, he is, yeah.
Did you guys have any other goals or intentions besides forming a band and playing death metal?
Like, you mean musically, or do you mean
anything? Any other reason?
In general?
Yeah, just in general.
In general, like me personally, I can say for myself, like I just love playing shows, like local or supporting, whatever, just like being on the stage and performing. And then my whole take was that, yeah, if I were to do it, I want to make people feel something, like when I'm on the stage, like they should feel the energy. And so I've personally always focused on that. As far as Lyndon goes, well, he's actually a data scientist over here in Canada, so he really enjoys working with that apart from music. Like he does the programming and all that stuff. So that he has other goals, I guess. Like with, he also mentioned that he wanted to open a brewery at some point. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. But as for me, I'm just a studio music, just by the book music kind of guy. So that's our motivation too, like for shows and songwriting and all that stuff. So yeah.
I mean, in terms of Morse Verum, did you set out to accomplish anything other than just making music and taking it as it goes?
Well, mostly it was playing for like just playing big show. Like that was our thing. And also creating album that people could just put on and like, one of those albums, like there's bands like Agalok, there's bands like some really good bands that basically have made us big music fans. So just trying to like further that energy with our band. That was mostly the goal. Other than that, it was everything. Yeah, other than that, as you said, it's like we'll take it as it comes, and if it feels right, we'll just do it. If it doesn't, then it's okay. Like, So yeah, so something like that. Yeah.
How do songs typically come together for you guys?
So up till now, actually, up till this EP, it's mostly been me who basically arranges the songs. So I basically, like, I just get all these ideas and I see something, all right, here's something in my head. And then I just basically try to record it and make it sound as close to as it's in my head in my demo version. And then I send it out to Lyndon, and then Lyndon tries to see if he's feeling anything or if he has any ideas. And then he gives me some ideas, and then we kind of go back and forth. And then we first get the arrangement and the flow of things just solid, lay the foundations. And then Lyndon sits with it and sees what kind of concept or what kind of lyrical themes would work with the song and with whatever the tone of the album is coming out to be. So that's pretty much how mostly it comes to fruition. We just kind of like let it do its thing. Like once it's like started, then it kind of tells you as to where it needs to be, and then we just kind of stay honest with that and be like, okay, well, if a part in it doesn't need to be there, then that's that. Like even if it's a really cool part or whatever. So just trying to keep it super grounded, but while still being like exciting enough. Yeah. So.
Do songs typically start with riffs for you?
They used to, but now not. Like for this EP, a lot changed. I feel like my mindset changed. I took some break from writing too in between. So for this EP, it came out mostly with the flow of things. I was listening to a lot of psychedelic music actually. So it was mostly based on that. But because I've been like riffing for so long, that was just an inevitable like byproduct of expressing that the flow of things, I would say. Yeah. So that's how it kind of like came to be, I would say. Yeah. So I think it's going more towards just concept and flows from this point, but still, like I'm a fan of riffs. The inner child in me obviously wants to play riffs. So that creeps in. I just let it creep in whenever it wants to, kind of thing. Yeah.
Can you expand on that a little bit? When you say you start with a flow, what does that mean actually?
Oh, so like what I would say is like when you if you just start with the flow, like, so you just kind of have to. Maybe you get like a pulse going, right? Like in your head, you have some sort of tempo going, whatever it could be, I mean, I know in heavy metal, it's mostly people like stick to the click tracks and all that stuff. But I'm trying to even get away from that because it's just a pulse. So you just start hearing a pulse in your head and you just take that pulse and try to become like one with it. And then eventually you'll find that the pulse is telling you to change or to go in a direction. So it's mostly at that point, it's literally just bare bones pulse. That's it. There's no melody in the head. There's no riffs. There's nothing. Just bare pulse. But once I get that, the pulse is what decides the flow. So once I get the pulse going, then it's like, okay, now I'm gonna add. That is my base layer. Now that's the flow of things. Now how can I write riffs or make sounds that will justify this pulse through and through? Not only that, but also layer it, so that everything else in the bigger picture also gets justified. So it's kind of like a puzzle, but that's something I enjoy doing, like once I get into it. So if that makes sense, yeah.